What's up guys, today we'll be ranking Eminem's albums by first week sales from the least to the greatest. I am Eric and welcome to ET Lifestyle Music Series.
May I have your attention please? May I have your attention please? Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I repeat.
Eminem is the most successful hip-hop artist and ranks amongst the best-selling artists of all time. In the 2000s, for instance, Eminem was the best-selling artist, selling over 47 million albums in the US alone and over 100 million albums worldwide. There is so much anticipation when a global artist is about to release a new album, and first week sales currently act as a measure of this anticipation. And today, we will be ranking Eminem's best first week sales going as far back as the Slim Shady LP. Remember to give us a like and subscribe, and do not hesitate to share this video with your friends. The Slim Shady LP was released on the 23rd of February 1999 and was promoted with 3 singles. My Name Is, the first single of the album, released on the 25th of January 1999. Role Model, released on the 26th of May that same year, and the third and final single of the album, Guilty Conscience, was released on the 8th of June. The Slim Shady LP debuted with sales of 283,000 copies in the US and 441,000 copies worldwide in its first week. And 10 days later after its release in the US, the album was certified platinum. Since its release, the Slim Shady LP has now sold over 8 million copies worldwide.
And I know she's using me to try to play him. I don't care. Hi Suzanne, but I should have said bye Suzanne after the first night. But tonight I am.
Revival was released on the 15th of December 2017 and was promoted with 4 singles, namely Walk on Water, River, Nowhere Fast, and Framed. River is currently the most successful single from the album so far, with sales of over 2.7 million copies worldwide.
So let the river run.
Revival debuted with sales of 267,000 copies in the US and 602,000 copies worldwide in its first week. A less than stellar performance by Eminem standards, likely as a result of going against his fans with Donald Trump. Nonetheless, Revival has sold nearly 2 million copies worldwide. Relapse was released on the 19th of May 2009 and was promoted with 5 singles that included Crack a Bottle, We Made You, 3 AM, Old Time's Sake, and Beautiful. 4 of those singles have sold at least over 1 million copies worldwide. Relapse debuted with sales of 608,000 copies in the US and 1,007,000 copies worldwide in its first week. And since then, the album has sold over 5 million copies worldwide.
We touch, I feel a rush. We clutch, it isn't much, but it's enough to make me wonder what's in store for us.
Recovery was released on the 18th of June 2010 and was promoted by 4 singles, namely Not Afraid, Love the Way You Lie, No Love, and Spacebound. And all of these singles have put out insane numbers. Not Afraid has sold over 10 million copies in the US alone. Love the Way You Lie, over 12 million copies in the US alone. No Love, over 8 million copies worldwide. And Spacebound, over 4 million copies worldwide. Recovery debuted with sales of 741,000 copies in the US and 1,098,000 copies worldwide in its first week, and since then has sold over 10 million copies worldwide to date.
Yeah, I know sometimes.
Encore was released on the 12th of November 2004 and was promoted with 6 singles that included Just Lose It, Mush, Encore, Like Toy Soldiers, Mockingbird, and As Like That. And 4 of those singles have sold at least over 1 million copies in the US alone.
Little baby, don't you cry, everything's gonna be alright.
Encore debuted with sales of 710,000 copies in the US and 1,107,000 copies worldwide in its first week. It also went on to sell over 1.5 million copies in the US in its first 2 weeks, and since then, the worldwide sales tally of Encore puts it at over 12 million copies sold.
I'm friends with the monster that's under my bed. Get along with the voices inside of my head.
The Marshall Mathers LP2 was released on the 5th of December 2013 and was promoted with 5 singles that included Berserk, Survival, Rap God, The Monster, and Headlights, the 5th and final single of the album. All the singles of the album went on to sell at least over 1 million copies in the US alone, with The Monster featuring Rihanna going 6 times platinum in the US.
Well, that's not
The Marshall Mathers LP2 debuted in the US with sales of 792,000 copies and 1,221,000 copies worldwide in its first week, and since release went on to sell over 8 million copies worldwide. The Eminem Show was released on the 26th of May 2002 and was promoted with 5 singles. Without Me, the first single of the album, was released on the 14th of May 2002, and other singles of the album included Cleaning Out My Closet, Superman, Sing for the Moment, and the 5th and final single, Business. 4 of the 5 singles sold over 1 million units in the US alone. The Eminem Show was released prematurely by retailers in the US and sold 284,000 copies in its first week on sale. However, in its second week in the US, the album sold 1.3 million copies, making it the first album to sell over 1 million copies in its second week in the United States. Worldwide first week sales came in at 2,026,000 copies sold, and since its release in 2002, The Eminem Show has now sold over 21 million copies worldwide. The Marshall Mathers LP was released on the 23rd of May 2000 and was promoted with 3 singles, namely The Real Slim Shady, The Way I Am, and Stan. And these singles all went platinum in the United States. The Marshall Mathers LP debuted with sales of 1,780,000 copies in the US and 2,774,000 copies worldwide in its first week. This is Eminem's best-selling album of all time, with sales of over 23 million copies sold worldwide. If you enjoyed this video and would love to see videos like this, remember to give us a like and subscribe. I'm Eric from ET Lifestyle. Thank you and see you next time.